the reason why I think people has been trying to create 3D from non-real things since they were able to invent the photography, because they wanted to see something that was like real world, like that you can see layers, you can see when something is back or front, it's not just flat, right? And that has carried on and on and on until now we have digital projection, digital techniques, digital cameras, and makes the whole project, the whole process easier, right? But it's still, and you guys know if you have tried ever to do 3D or you have been around people who do 3D, it's not as simple as just point and shoot a camera. I mean, it is, but it might look like crap. You know, if you wanted to look it right, that's a different story. And since it's something difficult, I think just the fact that these people have decided to do their films in 3D is remarkable. You know, because right now, first they were pushing to do 3D. Now, like TV makers, cameras, they were all about 3D. Now they're about 4K. Next time will be about cup holders. I don't know. You know, but the thing is that besides the industry pushing for it, the most important part is people willing to tell stories in 3D. And with 3D as a medium, 3D as in a narrative tool to tell a story. So, hi. How you doing? Do we have a fourth? That is for me.
Well, I believe there's another 3D filmmaker.
There you go.
Okay. So Minneapolis, I did request all the filmmakers to come on down. Come on down.
Come over here. You're the important person.
Yeah. And I'm going to let you wrap it up.
All right.
Let me just remind everybody so I don't have to come back up.
Okay.
So Juan's going to wrap up the 3D, and you can all have a blessed night. I'm going to be here tomorrow morning at 9:30. I please wish that you come and support the other filmmakers. We have track 1 with all the web series, and track 2 that starts with the machinima, shot on mobile, pilots, and other amazing categories. So I'll see you in the morning, and I'll enjoy you and your Q&A right now. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you. You can sit over there. I'm not going to sit. You guys are the main attraction here. So, do you guys want to start by saying your name and what film you worked on?
I'm Scott Farrell, and I worked on The Oceans, basically an art music video with Maria.
I'm Ben Schwartz. I directed the Whitewashing of 5 Pointz documentary.
I'm Alice Corsi, and I'm co-director of the Henry B. The Way 3D.
I'm Edoardo Bellanti, and I co-direct The Way 3D.
I'm Maria, and I directed the Oceans experimental music video.
Cool. So the first question that I would like to ask you, I mean, besides anything else that I might ask, is why? Why you did it in 3D and not in easy 2D? Why you decided to tell your story through pain, suffering, and convergence? That's very poetical, by the way.
I don't know. No, I wanted to work with my friend Scott, and I wanted to experiment with another medium, and I wanted to see what I could do with it, just like if it was a different color. And I was trying to paint with a different color. So to me, it was just another way of using the tool to make something creative. So it was actually kind of a no-brainer, but it was really, really hard. So.
Well, first of all, I have to say that our music video was a production that in reality is a work that we did as a final exam for a master degree in new media and ICT. And yes, it was painful. We wanted to do something that in Italy was not easy to see. and we discovered that music video in 3D are still few, 2 or 3, and especially a dance music video wasn't there. So this actually is the first music video of this kind of music.
The same, yeah.
For me, I was working on this documentary without really knowing what was going to happen to the building with the whitewashing. I shot video over a couple of months, again, without any kind of end game in mind. But for me, 3D was always the only thing I considered, because it was a film about a physical place, a space. And to me, the most interesting use, really, I think the only use of 3D that makes it really unique and special, is when the physical environment of the story is the key component of the story, really the main character of the story. You know, it was appropriate for my film. I think it's appropriate when you see movies like Avatar or Gravity, where the physical space of the film is its key component. In other examples where you have 3D kind of tacked on and people come away from it and say, oh, that didn't really add anything to the experience, I think that's almost always because the physical space of the story was just kind of incidental. So for me, in the film about a building, it made sense.
I like 3D.
Not enough. I'm thinking, because the typical question is, what was the most difficult thing that you guys encountered? What was the most struggle? But they ask those things everywhere. So I think I liked a lot what you said about why you wanted to be 3D, because you wanted the building to be a character, to be able to really feel that character and to be like the center of your story. So what I wanted to ask you is, not from the technical point of view, but from the narrative point of view. Because, I mean, at least in my mind, you can do 3D for a gimmick, which is fun, and you can throw something at the audience and they all clinch and it's funny, but they forget about it. Or you can do a story that really embraces 3D. So from the narrative point of view, how 3D help you tell your story, or how 3D may tell your story a little bit more difficult?
Well, I'm going to have to let Maria answer this, because that's more artistic than my role as producer and post-supervisor. So.
How it enhances the narrative? Is that the question?
Yeah, the question will be like, if in your case, if the 3D help you with the narrative, if the 3D, I mean, you answered that already, so you can pass them. It's like if the 3D actually help you enhance the narrative, or if it was something that you have to kind of fight against.
Well, I mean, I hope it enhances the narrative. I think that for people who never had a chance to see the building, I actually don't think that the film really fully conveys the grandiosity of it, but I think that for people who've never seen it, it's definitely a pretty good replacement for having experienced it directly. I think that I tried to use the 3D as a way of immersing the viewer in the space of the building. In doing that, I tend to shoot a lot of angles kind of off at it to the side. So, you know, you're shooting just a wall. How do you make that dimensional? Well, the way you do that is you stand, you know, at an angle to the wall, and you shoot it in a way that gives it depth and a vanishing point. And so for me, that was how I tried to enhance the narrative, by using the physical depth to actually put people there.
Sorry for my English. Okay. We had...
Mine is worse.
Okay. We had a story that we studied for 3D, but when we were on the set to shooting, changed everything, because we had a story with a female character character that don't come on the set. So with 30 extras and dancer, we have to change everything. And we had come si dicono all'inizio? The first scene
we changed the beginning of the video with the scene in computer graphics
to try
feel the whole in the story somehow.
and try to inventare Facebook e YouTube. 1 second.
Yes, what we mean is that we tried to show how social network would be if they will be in 3D. So it was yes, an experiment to do this. And after all, what I have to say is that it was quite challenging because we choose to do a dance music video that, from the point of view of editing, need a totally different rhythm of what you need in 3D. So it was a way to try if it was possible to make this thing together.
Very good.
I think in my case, it was in the story was very experimental to begin with, and the 3D element I saw as an additive to make these images come alive in a different form. So the 3D helped this narrative just be pushed, I suppose, in an experimental form and play with things that will force you to see the images we're so used to seeing in 2D differently. So, for example, my favorite part was where I had a changed aspect ratio throughout the short film, and your eye doesn't quite see it right away, but you suddenly notice that there are things that are coming in and out of the actual picture frame. So those were actually just really exciting things to play with, how you just perceive a picture in front of you and to manipulate what your eye is seeing. So those were just elements to help tell a story, which was, in our case, a Japanese poem narration over that you're not supposed to understand, but sort of help narrate this experimental idea between this infatuation with this octopus. So, yeah.
Now that you have done a 3D movie, now that you know what it is, that it's not a theory, but it's like a reality, are you guys planning into doing more 3D projects? And if so, what kind? Or do you have anything in mind already? Or you just got scared of it? Producer got scared.
You know, as a producer, actually, I'm more excited about 3D because the possibilities, I think it's something that you were just speaking of how people are not necessarily taking advantage of it. Maybe they're trying to financially, but the possibilities of what we can do now with the technology, and it keeps, the tools are getting better. Some of the work may have basically pushed people off for a moment, but I don't think that'll last. I see it as basically this new landscape that we can play with and make basically very immersive, and it's just a different art form than 2D. You know, you can watch 3D and close one eye and see what you're not getting. And in some cases, you know, there are certain movies that it's just better to close that eye. But on those cases where the filmmaker is actually making a statement, I plan on doing everything in 3D and learning and progressing it and pushing it forward. So for me, that's just exciting, and I have nothing more to say than that, except
Yeah, I'm definitely committed to continuing to work in 3D. I'm in the early stages of developing another short with a camera called the Phantom Flex 4K, which is a 4K camera that does high speed, up to 1,000 frames a second. So the next film is going to be a combination of 3D, high resolution, and slow motion. Kind of interested to see how that's going to come out. But yeah, no, I'm 100% committed to it. I think that the way that we're watching 3D now with glasses, out of necessity, is probably going to go away. And I think that in a few years' time, we're going to be looking at 3D either on glasses-free displays, or I think if you've seen virtual reality headsets like the Oculus Rift, just purchased by Facebook for $2 billion, I think that that's probably going to be the primary way that we look at 3D in the future, is with virtual reality headsets. So I think it's just an incredibly fertile and unexplored medium that's just like completely ripe for discovery.
After our music video, we took a longer period of 2D production, and now we are thinking of work on some other 3D story. We are right now in a pre-production with animated short movie in CG. So it's a little bit easy to to correct any problem on shooting. Yeah, and we are looking at other thing as augmented reality. So now we are concentrating more on digital storytelling in this sense.
I have nothing slated, but I am a huge fan, and a close friend of Scott's, and I'm sure we'll cocoon something else in the future. We have actually a couple more projects that we have to still finish, so hopefully that happens. So.
I have a couple more questions, but I wanted to give the option for the audience. I don't think we have a mic to pass around, but I think this is a small enough theater. Since it's late and maybe you guys want to go home and all that stuff, I wanted to first give you the opportunity to ask any question that you may have. Is there any question?
Speak slowly, please.
Oh, sorry. What I was saying is that if anybody has any question for them, I mean, I can carry on asking stuff, but I was wondering if you guys were interested in any of the shorts, any of the stories, or asking him any question.
I don't have a question so much as I just want to compliment all the filmmakers on making some of the best 3D I've seen in a long time.
No questions? All right. A question over there?
Yeah. How long do you think it'll be before 3D gets closer to the consumer market, where it's not as expensive to get a camera?
It's not. Panasonic 3D makes a great camera. Call Doug Layton and tell me you want to test it for a day.
Okay.
You make a shoot and work on a lease buy option.
All right.
Thank you. Canon's coming up with a new camera, but it just can't compete. The Panasonic goes underwater as well. If you want to really cheapen it out, there's like $199 cameras that'll do it. It's not going to look like this, but you can test.
Yeah, it looks interesting. You can do a lot of things with it.
I'm trying to find their DPs and CCPs, and I don't know which films they are. I know he's whitewash. I know Henry B's here. Henry B. The Way.
The music videos. The Way is the music video, right? And yours is the Oceans.
Oh, good. I have Oceans. Okay, great.
So-
Oceans, Henry, and Whitewash.
I just want to address your question. There actually were a number of consumer 3D cameras that were released in 2010. Like, everything kind of came out after Avatar. There was this huge rush to put out these kind of ill-conceived cameras and televisions. And I think that was one of the many things that torpedoed like that post-Avatar wave of 3D. But these cameras, which none of which are still in production, they've all long been discontinued. You can find them on eBay. There's one that I use for this film called the Sony NX3D1. That's very good. JVC makes a few. GoPro has a line of cameras out. The GoPro 3D basically just takes 2 GoPro Hero cameras and syncs them with a cable. That can be purchased for 2 cameras, and then the whole housing is probably like $600, and shoots really pretty good-looking 3D.
I know that there's a gentleman here from Memory Sculpture. Can you ask the audience?
Is there anybody here from Memory Sculpture?
Sculptor?
Sculptor? Memory Sculptor?
Did he leave?
I think so.
Okay. All right, that's shame on him because this was a great opportunity for him to speak. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
On the camera side that you were asking, I mean, at least on my experience, the tricky part is not to shoot 3D, is to shoot it right, and is to tell a story that deserves 3D. I mean, that's why, one of the reasons why I was asking about those questions and not the technical side, because I think we're past the point where it's technically difficult to shoot 3D with a camera. I think we're more in a point where what do you want to do with it? Because the tools are out there. Some of them are crazy expensive, some of them are not that expensive, and right now you can do 3D in your desktop with paying $70 Adobe subscription a month. You know, it doesn't need to be a $250,000 system anymore unless you're doing something big. Correct me if I'm wrong. But as for the tools go, what did you guys use, like high-end tools to your movies, or it was more like in-house, more like desktop tools? What kind of tools did you use for your movies?
We use a mirror rig with the 2 Canon XF 105, and then we used also a Sony 3D for the making of. So we could test the difference between using one and the other technology, basically.
Yeah, we used 2 Epics on the Red Epic camera on a mirror rig, where the budget was very small, but we had these available to us because we're lucky. And then in post we used Avid to edit. I think post is, although the tools are available, they could definitely be improved significantly fairly quickly, and it looks like they are being, and that will make, I think, people's job. I mean, you can shoot 3D a lot easier than you can post it right now, at least in my experience. But I mean, you know, for the layman, and to do really nice fixing of any issues it's all there. But learning how to do 3D is more paramount than the tools. So it's nice that there are smaller tools available, but learning how to use them and why you want the tools is.
I will add this, saying that having done the first project that's in 3D has been invaluable because I've learned so much, and I wouldn't have understood half of this if I just had been told by someone. So just doing it is really invaluable, however you get your hands on it. So
I shot mine using I basically did this film by myself, so I didn't have the resources to use a beam splitter and 2 cameras, so I used a single camera, dual lens, dual sensor called the Sony NX3D1. When the film was done, I converted everything over to ProRes, edited just a single eye, the left eye, in Final Cut. When it was done, took it into DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve you can buy for $1,000, and in addition to being a color correction suite, it also has a fairly powerful set of 3D adjustment tools. So I took the film into DaVinci, color corrected it, and then did the depth pass on it, and then output it from there. So if you know DaVinci, if you're familiar with it as a color correction piece of software, you should also look into it as a 3D software. It's actually really powerful.
Cool. I've been told that we have to be wrapping up. So last opportunity for a question. Anybody? No? Want to go home? Okay. So I guess we're wrapping up. Thank you guys so much for bringing your shorts, for bringing your stories, and for pushing for 3D. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming tonight.